It's Rabbi Gnak, and together we've survived Snowmageddon 2015. And many of us have off from work today. Some of us have off from school, and we have an opportunity to together study some halachos. So the day does not go by without Torah. We'll have a shiur together about the halachos of snow on Shabbos. This past Shabbos, I was asked whether or not people can have snowball fights on Shabbos. And this is a great question because it involves a bunch of different halachos, a bunch of different questions, and we'll go through each one at a time to see whether or not having snowball fights is an appropriate and halachically permitted experience on Shabbos. So the first question is snow muksa? Is snow muksa, aside from a snowball fight, can you use it for anything else? Can you eat it? Can you move it out of the way? Can you shovel it? What's the halach in that case? And Rav Moshe Feinstein was asked this question, and he's famous for having said that he thinks that snow is muksa. And other rabbis challenged him, and they said that the Gemara in Eruvin talks about rain on Shabbos, and the Gemara says that rain is not muksa. What's the question? Why would you think that rain is muksa? Why would you think it's not muksa? That snow is muksa or not? So it relates to the first Mishnah in Maseches Beitza. The first Mishnah in Maseches Beitza says that if an egg is born on Shabbos, so Beis Hillel say that that egg is muksa. Why is it muksa? Because muksa would apply to anything that was not prepared before Shabbos. So most of our things we have before Shabbos, and they're ready to be used when Shabbos comes. But an egg that's born on Shabbos certainly was not available beforehand. And if it's not prepared before Shabbos, it's not allowed to be used on Shabbos. So the Gemara suggests that maybe the same thing should apply to rain. When rain falls on Shabbos, it should be muksa, because it wasn't usable before. We didn't have it. It was somewhere up in the clouds. And the Gemara says that no, for that specific reason it is allowed to be used. The Gemara says that since the rain was in the clouds before Shabbos, so it's not that it wasn't around at all. It wasn't near. It was pretty far away. But since it did exist before Shabbos, it doesn't fall under the category of nolad, things that were not around at all before Shabbos, completely inaccessible. And therefore the Gemara in Eruvin says that rain is not muksa on Shabbos. So if there's a puddle of water and let's say falls into a barrel and you want to drink that water on Shabbos, that would be fine. So Rav Moshe Feinstein was asked, why then does he think that snow is muksa? Why does he think that it's different from rain? And he answered in a very short letter. He says he thinks that snow is different. Okay, that's his first response. And he says, secondly, snow is different than rain in that snow has no purpose on the ground. Once it falls, it forms this pile. You don't eat snow. You don't mop your floors with snow. It doesn't really have any real purposes. He says, as opposed to rain, that water is water. You could drink it. You could use it to wash your clothing. You could use it to wash your floors. And he says, therefore, he thinks that snow would be the same as sticks and stones, eitzim va'avanim, and eitzim va'avanim are muksa. However, most poskim and most rabbis argued with Rav Moshe Feinstein, and they said that snow is not muksa based on that Gemara in Eruvin, that it's not nolad, it's not like a brand new creation that was inaccessible before Shabbos. And they argue further that, what do you mean that snow has no purpose? A, you can eat it, and B, you can use it to have fun. So therefore they argue that snow is not muksa. And that's the generally accepted halacha, that snow is not muksa. But the next question that comes up is whether or not you can form a snowball. Or, let's say if you're having a snowball fight, you have to make a fort. Are you allowed to make a snow fort or a snowman on Shabbos? What about these things? So the generally accepted opinion in this area, quoted by Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, is that one could not make snowballs, one cannot build a fort, one cannot build a snowman on Shabbos. And the reason is based on the explanation of the Rambam talking about something completely different. The Rambam is talking about making cheese. And the way cheese is made is that the milk curdles, and you get these little pieces of curdled milk, something like what you would see in cottage cheese, and then those are squeezed together using cheesecloth to make it into one clump. In Hebrew, that's called megabein. Making gvina as a verb is megabein. And megabein, the Gemara says, and the Rambam explains, is the act of compressing different particles into one mass, is a malacha of boneh, just like building. Taking multiple parts, making it into one thing, taking bricks, building a building, taking little pieces of cheese and making one lump of cheese is a malacha of megabein. And Shlomo Zalman says that, therefore, taking soft snow, which is made up of thousands of snowflakes, maybe millions of snowflakes, I have no idea, taking those pieces and compressing them into one snowball or into a snowman or a snow fort, he says would be a malacha of boneh. You're building, you're constructing the snowball out of multiple parts. And therefore, Shlomo Zalman, and this is basically accepted by everybody else, that making snowballs and other things out of snow would not be allowed. However, if you were really smart about it and you made your snowballs before Shabbos and you saved them for on Shabbos, throwing them would not be a problem, but building them would be. So what we have is that the generally accepted opinion is not like Rav Moshe Feinstein, and generally it's assumed that snow is not muksa, and therefore if you want to pick up snow on Shabbos, whether it fell before Shabbos or on Shabbos, and you want to eat it, there's no problem with that. However, if you want to take that snow and compress into a snowball, that would not be okay. That would not be allowed on Shabbos. So parents, let's say your kids want to play with snow on Shabbos. Let's say they want to make snowballs. So certainly you would not be able to help them because that would be a malacha. What about, do you have to tell them not to play with snow, not to make snowballs on Shabbos? And I think this would depend on the age of the child. If your son or daughter is 10 years old, is 8 years old, so they're old enough to learn that just like we don't turn on lights on Shabbos, we don't make snowballs on Shabbos. And it's our responsibility to teach them. It might take a couple of times. It's our responsibility to teach them that they should not make snowballs on Shabbos. If your kid is 4, or your kid is 5 maybe, so we still teach them not to turn on lights, but snow only comes up once in a while if they decide to make their snowballs on their own without your encouragement, so then I think it's fine to just let them make it. And they'll learn as they get older that snowball fights are reserved for the week, and other types of games are reserved for Shabbos. Shabbos is a day when we limit and focus what we do on things that A, are mutter, and B, promote our spiritual connection to Hashem. I wish you a wonderful snow day, and I hope you enjoyed learning about the halachos of snow and Shabbos.